There's a species of shrimp unlike anything else, and most hobbyists don't even know it exists. It's the Snow Zebra Sulawesi Shrimp, selectively bred to thrive in the exact same water parameters as Neocaridina shrimp. And today, I finally get to build the dedicated home I've always wanted for them. Stick around until the end, because I'm also introducing a pair of tank mates you're absolutely going to fall in love with. Let's dive right in. For this build, I'm using a 7.5 gallon rimless tank by Sapporo. It measures 12 by 12 by 12 inches, basically a perfect cube. One thing I love about this tank is that it already comes with an underpad, which helps distribute the weight evenly and reduces stress on the glass. The substrate I chose is WIO's Inferno Sand. It's a fine-grained, dark reddish sand that's completely inert, so it won't affect my water parameters. I'm only laying down a thin layer because I won't be planting anything directly into it. For the driftwood, I'm reusing a piece from one of my older aquariums. It's still in great condition, and once I placed it in this tank, it immediately felt right. With the driftwood positioned, I can finally start placing the stones, and I'm using one of my favorites, Seiryu Stone. I went with 7 pieces because odd numbers always look more natural and more balanced to the eye. The idea here is to make it look like the driftwood has slowly pushed through a large stone over time, leaving broken chunks underneath and on top of the wood. To keep the driftwood and stone securely in place, I'm using a bit of cotton and cyanoacrylate glue. The last thing you want is your driftwood floating to the surface once the tank is filled, or your stones shifting or toppling over when you're doing maintenance later on. Last but not least, to tie the entire hardscape together, I'm using WIO's dark gray accent scatter stones. These help soften the transition between the larger stones and the sand, while creating that natural broken off look that makes the whole aquascape feel more realistic. Now for the softscape, the plants. I'm keeping things simple for this build. I'm not planting anything into the substrate. Instead, I'm using Anubias, which is a low-demanding epiphyte plant. With all the natural pockets on the driftwood and the cracks between the stones, securing these plants is really easy. Some will be glued in place, while others can simply be tucked into the crevices. Over time, their roots will take hold and anchor the entire plant naturally. With the Anubias secured in place, it's time to fill the tank and add the finishing touches. Whenever I fill new tanks or do water changes, I use water from a 25-gallon bin that I fill with tap water a few days in advance. It's dechlorinated and heated to match most of my aquariums, which run at 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 degrees Celsius. Letting the water sit helps the parameters stabilize, especially the pH, so nothing fluctuates when I refill my tanks. It also lets me perform larger water changes if I need to in an emergency. The only time the temperature shifts slightly is for my tanks that sit at 78 degrees Fahrenheit or 25 degrees Celsius. As you can see, the water is flowing in gently and pouring over a piece of filter foam so that the substrate doesn't get disturbed. Sandy substrates are very easy to displace, and once the sand lifts, it can take a long time to settle again. While the tank fills, I place a nitro heater inside. This one has a preset temperature of 78 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm using this specific heater because it's the same one in my orange pumpkin shrimp tank, and the snow zebra shrimp that used to live there thrived in those exact conditions. The tank mates I'm adding later also prefer this temperature. To hide the heater and fill the empty space at the back, I'm adding Subwassertang, a fern-like plant that looks a lot like freshwater seaweed. It's slow growing and makes an excellent shelter and grazing area for shrimp. It can be a little messy at first, but once it settles in, it clings to the wood and creates a nice, natural backdrop. Next, I'm adding a few Marimo Moss Balls to provide even more grazing areas. And fun fact, Marimos aren't moss at all. They're actually a unique form of algae. With the tank filled and the plants in place, I'm adding a Nicrew hang-on back filter. I love using this filter on nano tanks because it comes with a pre-filter sponge, it's incredibly quiet, and it's been extremely reliable for me. Finally, it's time to add the last piece of equipment, the aquarium light, which was provided by AQQA, the sponsor of today's video. What I really love about this light is that it's full spectrum, so it's perfect for growing aquarium plants. It also has a 24/7 mode that mimics a natural sunrise and gradually shifts into a soft, starry blue light at night. The aluminum alloy clip fits rimless tanks beautifully, and the flexible gooseneck makes it really easy to adjust the angle and direction. It even has a memory function that keeps your previous settings after a power outage. I've been using this light for about 3 months now, and I'm genuinely impressed with its performance. If you want to learn more or pick up one for yourself, I've left a link for you in the description below. Thank you AQQA for sponsoring this video. Now, even though my water is already dechlorinated, I'm going to add a little SKITTLE Safe just to show you everything that goes into setting up a new aquarium. Safe works just like SKITTLE Prime, but it's a powdered version that's more economical and more effective when you're treating large volumes of water. For a 7.5 gallon aquarium like this, Prime is usually easier since it's simpler to measure and dose accurately. I just didn't have any at the time. Next, to clear any fine particles stirred up while filling the tank, I'm adding SKITTLE Clarity. It helps bind those tiny particles together so the filter can remove them much more efficiently. And finally, since I was out of SKITTLE Stability, I used another product I had on hand called BioDigest. It's a glass vial filled with beneficial bacteria, and all you have to do is snap off both ends and place the vial into your aquarium to help kickstart the nitrogen cycle. A few days later, the entire tank became cloudy. This cloudiness is a bacterial bloom, caused by beneficial bacteria multiplying rapidly as they begin colonizing the tank. It's a completely normal part of the early stages of the nitrogen cycle. It's best to fight the urge to do a water change here, as cloudy water clears up on its own, and giving the tank time to stabilize is exactly what it needs. A week after the bacterial bloom, biofilm started forming on the driftwood. If you ever see this in a new tank, leave it exactly where it is. Your shrimp and snails will snack on it the moment you add them. Biofilm is essential for shrimp because it's one of their most important natural food sources. That's why we let our tanks establish for 3 to 4 weeks and sometimes even longer. Without that biofilm, your shrimp can actually starve in their new home. Fast forward another 3 weeks and I noticed hair algae growing on the Marimo Moss Balls. It's been ages since I've had something like this happen, but I took a pipe cleaner and slowly pulled it off. If you don't have a pipe cleaner, a toothbrush works just as well. With the tank fully cycled, it was finally time to add the shrimp, and I really think they're going to enjoy their new home. And now for their tank mates. I picked up a species of Corydoras that's actually quite rare. Let me introduce you to the Eques Corydoras. I stumbled across this pair at the store by complete accident, and the moment I saw their coloring, I knew I had to bring them home. What I didn't expect was how well they'd camouflage in this aquascape. Don't these fish look incredible? If you'd like me to do a full care guide on these fish in a future video, let me know in the comments below. This tank build has been such a fun project, and I'm excited to watch the Snow Zebras and Eques Corydoras settle in over time. If you'd like to support future builds like this and get behind the scenes content, updates, and more, consider joining the SKITTLE Squad on Patreon. Now, if you're planning on building your own aquarium and want a step-by-step guide on choosing the right equipment, hardscape, softscape, cycling it correctly, and setting it up for long-term stability, check out this video next. If you'd like to try something new for your shrimp, check the description or pinned comment below for a link to my premium shrimp food collection. And don't forget to subscribe for more shrimp keeping tips, guides, and advice. I'm Andy, thanks for watching, and I hope I made shrimp keeping a little easier for you. I'll catch you in the next one.